Hey friends, Casey Ashmore coming to you from the studio today. Thank you so much for joining. I love doing these videos for you. If you have questions or comments, chat at ashmorelawfirm.com. Chat at ashmorelawfirm.com. I've done a deep dive on costs in family law cases and how you can be on the lookout for costs, what costs you need to be aware of, and how to avoid those costs. And it really comes down to this big concept of time. You know, the longer you're in litigation, the more time you're in litigation, the chances are you're going to increase your costs. So and I'm not going to say that you shouldn't have your day in court, but one of the biggest costs can be that day in court, that trial. Your average family law trial is going to be $5,000 to $20,000. Depending on the complexity and depending on how big the issues are. So $5,000 to $20,000, and that's just what you pay at the end for your 3 or 4 days in the courtroom, right? And of course on the high end of that is usually like the 4 days. But there's also many, many, many other days of preparation. You know, just think about all the issues that, let's say it's financial issues. So the last 5 years of financials have to be reduced to the top 20 to 200 or so pieces of evidence, but let's just call it 20. Let's make it easy. So however many pages that is, 200, 400, 4,000, and then you got to have 5 copies of them in a normal situation pre-COVID, right? 5 copies of everything, right? One for the judge, one for the witness, one for the opposing party, one for the court reporter, one for the jury. So 4,000 pages times 5 in notebooks, the manpower to make all that, and then the preparation for the jury charge, the findings of fact and conclusions of law, the contested issues that have to be argued and briefed to the judge at the pre-trial hearing, which is a whole separate retainer that comes 40-something days before the trial retainer, generally, right? So that's another few $1,000s. So there's a huge investment to have that day in court. And absent really, really critical things like family violence, drugs, alcohol, those are absolutely things worth fighting for. Fraud on the community, where one spouse has mismanaged the assets to its advantage and to the disadvantage of the other spouse, absolutely reasons to have your day in court. On the other hand, make sure that your day in court doesn't outweigh what you're fighting about, because in litigation, you know, what you get from a jury verdict can be so rewarding. It really can be. There's nothing better than a jury telling you, we're giving you every bit of the relief that you deserve, and by God, you didn't ask for enough. If we could have given you more, we would have. That's a great feeling. On the other hand, when that, you know, you either win or you learn at the courthouse. And sometimes you're going to win on some things and you're going to learn on some things that you wish you would have won on. You may not get a result that you can live with, right? You're going to get a result that's reasonable because it's the facts of your family law situation applied to the Texas Family Code, applied to the Texas Rules of Evidence, applied to the Texas Rules of Procedure, and then outcome is this result. That result isn't fair. Fair happens in Dallas in the fall. That result is reasonable. That's all it's required to be. So having that day in court, that can be a huge, again, time in litigation equals bigger investment in lawsuit, which means more costs to you, your family. You need those resources to raise kids, send kids to college, prepare for your retirement, or do you need those resources to have your day in court? So be thinking about those things as you're approaching these situations. And in no means, I'm a trial lawyer. That is what I do for a living. I live for it. But make sure that the cause is just and the fight is worth the investment. And more often than not, it is, because the ones that need to settle do, right? The ones that should settle do. That's what mediation's for, right? That's what informal dispute resolution between the spouses, right? They're just going to talk it out, come up with a plan. Bam, we're done. No fighting, no trial. And 80 to 90% of them resolve that way or through some mediated settlement process. But remember, if you're going to have your day in court, make sure it's worth the investment, because it is a significant, right? We're talking about time in litigation equals increased costs. So anyway, I hope that this video series has been helpful to you. If you have questions, comments, chat at ashmorelawfirm.com, chat at ashmorelawfirm.com. Thanks so much for watching. More from probably the studio with the winter weather setting in, and I'll see you guys real soon.